All right, this is a pretty serious subject as far as I'm concerned because I think that personal privacy, data privacy, and privacy rights in general are all very important. I think it's things that people need to take more seriously in their lives, especially as technology continues to have more and more of an impact on our daily lives. You see technology constantly growing and taking over everyday tasks, and we're so, I guess, interconnected through technology now that your personal privacy legitimately is at risk. You know what I'm saying? Your phone, your computer, your TVs, your home systems like Alexa and whatnot, they really can be breaches of privacy that you may or may not think exist. And more people need to start thinking about that. They need to start thinking about what happens with my data? What is this company doing with my privacy? Well, at this point, it's not really companies that we're talking about in today's video, even though that is completely for another video topic. We're talking about the US government, okay? Now, most people here in the United States, I feel like, have at least heard of Edward Snowden and the entire scandal around him. So if you haven't heard about it, let me go ahead and kind of explain what's been going on. Basically, the United States government, more particularly the National Security Agency, had been basically wiretapping and mass surveying American phone records. So millions of Americans were having their phones basically tapped by the government in this mass-reaching program across the country. So they were basically listening in on your phone calls. They were basically listening in on things. They were saving basically your phone conversations. And it collected so many records that the whistleblowing act that Edward Snowden kind of brought out actually was one of the biggest acts of whistleblowing in American history. It completely, I guess, opened up the conversation of data privacy and the rights of privacy that American citizens and realistically everyone should have. Edward Snowden was basically called a traitor and a coward by the United States government and was basically forced to flee the country because, in all reality, they either would have locked him up for life or they may have even tried to seek the death penalty for something like treason on this guy. Pretty much all because he exposed this government program that was spying on millions of Americans. As far as I'm concerned, Edward Snowden is a fucking American hero. This man should be awarded like a Medal of Honor for technology or something. They need to make an award for this man, because had he not come out, there's a good chance that even to this day, Americans would not know how far the government is reaching into their private lives. Now, this has been years since this happened. It actually happened last decade at this point. However, it's officially been announced that US courts have determined that the wiretapping against American telephones by the US government was illegal and possibly even unconstitutional at the same time. So to kind of break this whole situation down, right, Edward Snowden has been considered a traitor to his country, and to be fair, I'm pretty sure he ended up giving like a bunch of secret documents to the Russians. That doesn't really help his case. That's where he's currently in asylum at, I believe, is in Russia, and he'll probably be there for a long time. But when it comes down to it, right, you know, what he exposed against the United States government is one of the biggest exposés against the government in history. Because, I mean, when you think about it, man, how fucked up is it that the US government is listening to your phone calls? And let's keep it a buck here. Let's call a spade a spade. They are not just stopping there. They're going through your emails, they're tracking your search history, they're keylogging you, they're working with ISPs to pull your info, they're tracking where you go on your phone. It's not like this is something, you know, very limited. The United States government is one of the biggest spying, if not the biggest spying organization in the world. They've been caught spying on foreign leaders, and in foreign countries. They really don't give a shit, okay? Because at the end of the day, it's the United States. Who's really gonna stop them? You think Switzerland is gonna catch the US, spying on them and they're gonna step up and do something? I really doubt that's gonna happen. Unfortunately, for Switzerland, they're kind of going to get bullied by the US in that regard. But on Wednesday, the US Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit said that the warrantless telephone dragnet that actually collected millions of American telephone records violated the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act and may also have been unconstitutional. So to kind of, I guess, simplify things, in the Constitution and, to protect your rights, the government basically has to have a warrant to kind of go into your privacy, you know what I'm saying? They have to have a warrant to search private areas, they can't just show up at your door like, hey, what are you doing, right? And then next thing you know, you tell them oh, I'm just sitting in here with my grandkids, and then they just kick the door open and step in. If they don't have a warrant, they can't do anything like that. And that also goes for your private life. Online, at least it should. And that's kind of the debate that a lot of people have, Why doesn't that kind of, I guess, effort not extend into our online lives? Why should the United States government be able to wiretap me and spy on me and monitor everything I'm doing, watching me beat meat in the webcam, right? To see if I'm out here plotting jihad against the United States in the name of ISIS, you know? Like, it's fucking crazy that that's even a thing that we should have to worry about in modern day America, but it is. And it's not only an American problem, I do want to add, this is something that's going on globally. Global governments and surveillance agencies and companies are spying on you, they're tracking everything you do, they're monitoring your life in every way that they can, legally or illegally, in order to figure out patterns that you make, to figure out if you're a wanted criminal, all kinds of different things. And that's terrible. So you might be wondering, well, Optimus, what was this data that the United States government was pulling? So there was basically a bunch of evidence that came out that the US was building like this massive database of US telephone records. It would basically track who was making the call to who. They were tracking how it was being made, whether it was, at a cell phone or a home phone, things like that. It logged all the data of when it happened, so the approximate time that the phone call was made, how long it happened, when the call was ended. And especially on like mobile calls, they were tracking where it happened. Now, before this was all exposed by Edward Snowden, the US government basically denied that any intelligence was being built up on American citizens. The question had kind of floated around a little bit like, hey, what's the government doing with our phone calls and stuff? That's possible that they could get into that. And they'd say things like, oh, we wouldn't do that. We're not doing that. We're not building any databases. We're not monitoring you guys. Guess what the NSA was doing the whole fucking time, fellas? And this is the stupid argument coming up that I hate. Then, when officials basically got exposed for the entire thing, the first thing they did was fall back on this stupid fucking straw man slippery slope ass argument of, oh, well, we have to monitor Americans, we have to spy on their personal lives, because what if the bad guys are here? What if someone got into the country who wanted to hurt a lot of people, or someone was being a homegrown domestic problem? You know what I'm saying? We have to spy on them to see if they're planning things. Perhaps if we weren't spying on Americans, a lot of horrible things could happen, and we wouldn't be able to catch the next bad guy. Basically, the argument was that if they're not spying on people, they can't arrest criminals. And if they can't arrest criminals, they're gonna do bad shit. And you don't want bad shit to happen, right? Well, the crazy thing is, most of the US's efforts to stop bad things from happening have been completely fucking flops. The TSA that harass you in all the airports, they don't really do anything. They don't actually stop any fucking problems. Go ahead and do some research into how many plots the TSA has broken up over the years. Let me go ahead and tell you this, it's a waste of taxpayer money. They do nothing except give you the idea that you're safe on a plane. They give you nothing but the idea that nothing bad can happen to you. Because in reality, especially in modern day America, with everything that goes on and the turbulent history of things going on over the last 20 years in America with mass tragedies, people just don't feel safe a lot of the time, you know what I'm saying? So it's understandable, but the US government does fuck all to actually protect you from real threats. All it was a very weak argument that they could rely on onto why they're doing this, okay? Now, US officials have claimed that 4 people were convicted in 2013 who were accused of providing aid to religious fanatics in Somalia, okay? And this was all apparently due to the NSA's telephone record spying, okay? But on Wednesday, it was ruled that these claims were inconsistent with the contents of the classified record, basically meaning that the evidence that the government had didn't even support their own fucking argument. So when you look at a situation like this, a man like Edward Snowden has been basically fucking exiled from this country, can never come back, because let's keep it a buck, the government will never give him a fair trial. There's no chance they won't stack the odds on him. So he can never come back and face the judicial system. He can't really ever come back ever anyway. Because the moment that dude comes through an American airport, he's gonna be arrested on the spot. And why is that? Because he exposed the government being fucking criminal? Because he exposed the government spying on millions of people, invading our personal privacy, and violating our rights as citizens? Yeah, that's what happened. And guess what? The US courts made a very landmark decision in his favor, basically thanking him for this whole situation, for exposing this against the US government. That kind of gives me hope that maybe he'd get a fair trial, but I really don't think that they would give him one. It's a lot easier said than done to support him in the legal system, and it's kind of shitty that this whole situation even happened, but it's something that you need to be aware about. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus, make sure to check out Shop Opti down below. Thank you to my channel members, your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, definitely supporting Edward Snowden, and signing out.